Hey friends, I'm here to talk about another topic that's just random and I want to bring up and talk about it. So here we go. All right, so I wanted to talk about emotional inventory for a minute. And I know that this is a tarot spirituality channel and everything like that, but um, I feel like it's important to incorporate this into my recovery as well. And for most of you watching, you are a part of the Recovery Collective, regardless of whether you stop drinking but you still smoke pot or whatever. I don't really care what you do, as long as you're true to your own self. That's what matters. So moving away from that, I wanted to talk about how important emotional inventory can be in early recovery, just because it's really good to gauge where our negative thoughts are coming from and where our triggers are. And just like drinking, in a lot of occasions I found myself, say I was in recovery, I was in early recovery, right? And I'd be at a party or whatever, and I would say, oh no, I'm fine, it's fine if you don't drink around me, but inevitably 2-3 weeks later, I'd always end up thinking to myself randomly in my car by myself, ooh, a drink sounds really good right now. So I started emotional inventory as a way to curve that a little bit, because I know that I can't get away from drinking and I know that drinking is going to be around me. So it's important that we form attacks or defenses against those feelings. And it also helps us to understand that it's not really, it's the dis-ease that makes us want to escape and go into something else. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the thought patterns that are getting us. It's not the alcohol or the drug itself, or the shopping addiction or the sex addiction or whatever. It's the emotions that curtail us and make us want to escape. You know that, I know that. Anyways, emotional inventory for me, if you've never done it before, is basically for at least 21 days, because 21 days, I'm sure you heard it in rehab. If you haven't, 21 days is the start, or changes the energetic pattern of what's going on. So it almost gives you, it brings habits, it brings new neural pathways into your brain so that it can help you really get into the routine of whatever that is. So even if, think about all of the things that in your life that have detailed to making it feel unmanageable. So like, think about every time you've woken up in the morning and you're like, oh, it's going to be another shit day where I have the same job, or it's going to be another day where I don't know what I'm doing and I'm drowning in debt and I don't, and I'm overwhelmed and I'm anxious and I don't want to meet new people and I don't want to be a part of this. I just want to go back into my cave. So what I do, and this is just for me, you don't have to do, you can do emotional inventory however the hell you feel like doing it, because it's your emotional inventory. But the way that I do it is I think about gratitude. I think about what I'm grateful for in the day. When everything is going to shit, my kids are a great example of that. I love using my kids as a form of gratitude, because when I do that, it brings me back to moments of being childlike, and it also reminds me of how lucky I am to have them as a mom, So, but if you don't have children, just go outside and enjoy the clouds. If it's a rainy day, enjoy the rain. If, whatever makes you happy and in that moment and present, and to really look back and reflect on that is going to give you a lot of hope and help you to understand what turns your mind on, what makes your mind happy, even if you don't feel very grateful that day. And especially when you're having to do emotional inventory, sometimes that can be really difficult. So you're not crazy if that's hard or difficult, or you're not different, or it's not going to not work on you because you're not feeling grateful. It's just, what Spirit is showing me right now is like putting wheels, like oil on the wheels, So it's not going to be perfect. The first few days, you're probably going to not feel very grateful. You're going to feel kind of twisted up inside and not very good. But it's starting to work, okay? There's a trust, there's a faith in there that has to be, that's why they say keep coming back, because energy changes every single day. And so does your perspective and mind, So also, where did I grow in that day? Where did I grow? What thought patterns did I have? What breakthroughs did I have? Did I have any breakthroughs? Was I thinking about that? Also, another thing I really love to do is giving. Where did I give today? Where did I say thank you? Where did I compliment somebody? Where did I put an actual effort out there to give something to somebody that maybe it might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot to them, you know? Also, possible amends. Okay, where am I feeling resentful in that moment? Where could forgiveness help me in this scenario? Where can I practice radical acceptance in the case that I'm in right now? You know, like say, also present moment. Present moments is a huge one, because that's basically where you're making a pivotal effort. If you're trying to put that in your emotional inventory, present moments is basically when you ground yourself. Like when are you taking a moment to appreciate the sky? When are you tasting dinner and really grateful that you have food and dinner? Where are you? And it's like, these things may seem simple and very stupid, and at first you may feel very triggered and like you're stupid and like you can't live life normally, and why can't I live life normally? And I get that too, and I get frustrated with that. But it's not about that. Think about it like Mr. Miyagi, you know, wax on, wax off. When we practice these things daily, okay, they become a regular part of our life. Like, I don't have to stop and think about the sky anymore. I just think about the sky. I just drive on my way to work and I look at the clouds and I'm like, wow, it's a really beautiful day. Or, you know, I'm grateful that I can fill up gas in my car, and I don't have to try to be grateful. I just am, you know. Or I look forward to taking my kids to the park, but it wasn't always that way. You know, it was not even close to always that way. I used to be fearful of going outside with my kids. It used to be really difficult for me to even travel with them or put them in the car. I used to want to fall asleep halfway through the day because I was so exhausted, you know. But it's about finding the humility and the gratitude in those moments that brings you back into that moment, where you're not worried about the future and the possible mistakes you could make along the way, and you're not worried about what's happened in the past and what's bringing you down and what you want to change. You know, if you're bringing yourself back to that gratitude and you're training yourself to do that on a daily basis, that's huge. That's going to bring you into the present moment. It's going to make you not worry so much about all the 15 different things that you have to do to make your life feel like less of a clutter, you know? It's important that we do that, because the emotion and the care that we take on ourselves is the emotion and the care and the love that we're going to be able to give to other people. And that may sound weird or different, but that's because most of us come from families that don't understand that language, or weren't emotionally healthy, or didn't understand how to be emotionally healthy, you know. And just because the people that we've always been surrounded by are like that doesn't mean that we have to make that same choice. It doesn't mean that we can't find peace. It doesn't mean that we can't be emotionally well within ourselves, even if the world is crumbling around us. Because the world isn't crumbling around us. It's always going to keep turning. It's always going to keep moving. And it's up to us to choose what our perspective is as we move forward. So I find that when I do I had a really good counselor once tell me that even if you don't want to do a full-fledged emotional inventory, write a check-in of how you're feeling from, like, choose 3 times in a day, you know, like once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once at night, or 2 times in a day, whatever the hell you feel like doing. And really write down 2 feelings, okay? 2 feelings, whatever that is. And if you don't know feelings, or if you have trouble finding your feelings, that's okay. Look at descriptors, you know, get back to the basics. Because at the end of the day, when you take a second look at these things, you're going to realize that a lot of the people around you aren't that mindful in life and don't see the small things. You start to see the little subtleties in life and all the little joys that you missed along the way because you were so weighed down and bogged down by whatever conditioning you came from or whatever dis-ease was in your head. So yeah, write down two emotions, you know, and let's say you do that for 2 weeks, right? you tick 2 times a day, you write 2 emotions twice a day, and look at the patterns of those emotions and what you're feeling. It doesn't mean you have to like memorize them or anything like that. Just after 2 weeks of doing that, look back. Are you angry most of the time around lunchtime? Is it because you've eaten? You know, simple things like that that we miss every single day sometimes, you know, that it's important to pick up on. And that's why I'm saying wax on, wax off, because it's not just one thing, you know, it's not just, oh, I have to go to therapy and do emotional inventory. And no, you're literally improving your life. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? And there's a lot of gems and hidden beautiful things along the way that it's going to motivate you and make you want to move further. So yeah, and also ask yourself, was I humble? Was what I said honest? Was it kind? Did it need to be said? Did I express myself properly? Things like that. Just ask yourself those things every day. And really at this point, I've been sober since 2016. I got 4 years last October. At this point, there's a lot of amends that I've had to make, a lot of mistakes I've made along the way, but as I've gone along, it's been easier for me to make amends towards myself for making those mistakes, and understanding that I would rather live and learn than hide in my cave and isolate and escape from myself all the time, because that's no way to live, you know? Basically what you're doing is you're amping and you're preparing yourself for battle. And when I say battle, I mean the world. I mean dealing with people. I mean dealing with assholes who don't give a shit and don't do emotional inventory. You know, I'm talking about dealing with the real world, okay? Dealing with the day to day. You know, this is what's going to gear you up for that, so that on the day-to-day incidences where you may get triggered, or there may be an old feeling lurking around the corner, you're not afraid to face that feeling. You don't hide from that feeling in fear, because you know your patterns. You know that you run in cycles. If you go through a depressive moment, you know that that's going to end, just like the fleeting happiness that we always encounter. You know, it's life is all fleeting, and life is all in cycles. And once you learn your personal cycles, you will have the tools to move forward in life in a very cohesive way that's going to help you out. And you're not going to feel so scattered all the time. You're going to feel a lot more grounded, a lot more present, a lot more in the moment, a lot more able to support others when they need to be supported, because you're supporting yourself. You have your own back. So anyways, yeah, that's just what I wanted to talk about with emotional inventory. I hope you appreciated it. If you got to this part in the video, thanks, and until next time, bye.